paper and pills. Sit down and write it again. One day you kill. Rise, tell just rise. Broken pencils to rise. Keep on writing, fallen soldiers still rise. Keep on fighting, yeah. One day you lift up, rise to the skies, and your light will be shining. Yeah. One day, your wedding bells will ring. One day.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The best radio show.
All around the world.
One day you win. The paper
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
international scholarship is
Are
coming.
you ready to turn it up?
Scholarship, yes, it's coming. Yeah. You come out of your own house. One day you shall go ride your own car. One day you win. One day you win. Your album will hit. Your ministry.
Well, all that the songwriter is trying to do this morning is to encourage you that don't give up. Even broken pencil can still ride.
My sister.
And so wherever you are listening to us from, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Wrote the paper and pills. Sit down.
General Assembly, later on this month. The question is, do they have the right to say people cannot protest against their president? We've seen protests.
President, when it comes to the UN. Now, I know definitely
$50 to $100 to counter protest, and that was very heat as at the time, former President Muhammadu Buhari was in office.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. You have any take, feel free to do so. Post it on our broadcast, our platforms that we are broadcasting on, and I promise you one thing for sure, we're going to read out. And when the lines are open, you are allowed to do so. Call in, and then we'll allow you to make your voice heard as well. Shamsuddin, massive good morning to you. He says, Yoruba Nation. God bless Yoruba Nation, and God bless you. God bless you, Shamsuddin, as well. Okay, now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds this morning in Nigeria. The total blackout as Nigeria power grid collapses. Now, when we talk about power, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it because I always say that back in the day when I visited Nigeria, back in the day, that was the 80s when I went on a holiday, and then I was there for a month. A month. And you'll be enjoying because we would travel a lot, moving around. Went to Ibadan, went to Abeokuta, and in Lagos we lived in Oworoshoki. That's where we resided for the time that we were there. And I was looking at everything, but one thing that was causing trouble was these power outages. And because you'll be there enjoying some broadcast or some, and then it just goes off, and then you come back maybe after some time. But we thought that those things will be sorted out because looking at the amount of oil and looking at the amount of gas that Nigeria is able to send out. I mean, these are all that people want. You have thermal plants and you need the gas to power it. Nigeria has got lots of it. Some are even being burnt out and some are being, piped to other countries. So why has Nigeria not been able to put its own house in order for a whole national grid to collapse? Can you just imagine what has happened if in this place people will be suing like no man's business? Yomi.
Well, electricity is one of the biggest threats, to many Nigerians, and the reason for that is that Nigerians have never enjoyed, 24 hours power supply, regardless of what part of the country that you are. I'm talking about 7 days a week, non-interruption of power supply. You're quite right. Another very, sad report coming again from Nigeria when it comes to, that particular sector. We know that this new administration is trying to unbundle and probably allow states that are probably able to afford it, to generate their own electricity and then probably sell that off. Many investors will be needed as well, but it seems also that there's a kind of a block between some part of the transmission and but what we can confirm today is that there's now a total blackout as Nigerian power grid have eventually collapsed. Some of what is being used are very old; they are not up to date. there is a widespread blackout across the country following a total collapse of Nigeria's electricity grid at the early hours of this morning. It was gathered that the grid collapsed just before 12:40 a.m. this early, today, leading to a massive loss of supply to power distribution across the country. And that literally means that Nigerians that have businesses, hotels, retailers, fashion designer, hairdressers will probably have to suffer a little bit more. Multiple sources in the power sector, just as electricity distribution companies, have now confirmed the development as well. The Enugu Electricity Distribution Company PLC issued a notice that titled "Notice of a Total System Collapse." In the notice, the EEDC wishes to inform the esteemed customer of this total collapse, which occurred at about 12:40 a.m. This has resulted in the loss of the supply currently being experienced across the network. Again, the transmission company of Nigeria station are out of supply, and we are unable to provide service to customers in Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, Imo State, and we are on standby awaiting detailed information of the collapse and the restoration of the supply from the National Control Center, which is in the southwest in Oshogbo. The notice was signed by the head of the Corporate Commission. The question then is, why have we not invested in this sector, to stop this menace? Well, those that should invest were not given the opportunity, and I believe during the time of the Jonathan, this sector was sold to certain people that were not even, capable to deal with the power transmission itself. Starr Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listeners, updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki in the North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and it's 11:22. But interestingly, Yomi, now, apart from what do you call it, having the generators or whatever, now we're looking at wind farms, that's what they call them, and then solar energy. Has Nigeria actually invested in any of these source of power, or is it, as some people have been saying, that there are some people behind the whole thing because they are benefiting from the sale of generators or plants? They reckon that they have to do everything possible to sabotage the national grid from working perfectly so that their business will not suffer. So what do we see there?
Well, Nigerians have invested, to the certain limit. Yes, you're quite right. We have, enough, Sunrail. It's a country that runs, almost very hot, even all the way down to the northern part of the country. Yes, many Nigerians are using it, but it's still quite an expensive when you talk about, the solar panel as well. But in the little grade that they are trying, they are using it. That is the substitute to the blackout, apart from those that have the means, to run the generators as well. Again, you're quite right. The generator business is a very big investment in Nigeria for those that are bringing them into the country to be sold off as well. But we hope that now that the new administration is planning to open up, state like Lagos State should be able to power, if not the 20 million living in Lagos State, they should be able to power 5 million, if the right investors are allowed to operate. The same thing can happen in Rivers State, and we hope the same thing can happen in some of the northern part of the country as well. We've not really invested when it comes to the wind turbine, but we hope that, again, these are areas that can be looked into. We have, a very good sea waterways, in the northern, in the southwest part of the country, but it will involve a lot of investors to come in. And the question is, when investors comes in, can the same policy that whoever is there right now, as we know that the President Tinubu is there right now, will there be a continuation? Investors are always, very skeptical when it comes to the continuation. And that is the reason why sometimes investors do not want to invest, so that they are not stuck with their investment.
Of course. Nobody's running a charity. They don't want to invest and then lose their monies because it's people's money that they're going to be using. They want to make sure that at least they are making the profits that they're supposed to. But listen, it's Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, when you talk about the NLC yesterday, you did talk about that one on the Niger Voices as well. But whilst people are saying that the palliatives and everything will come to the accusation and the defense by the House of Reps saying that 100,000 that was alleged to have been given to them, they are saying that they've not received that. So if they didn't give the 100,000 naira each as palliatives, they should tell us what was given to them. So not 100,000, how much was given to them, and then we can compare it to the bag of rice that have been given to 12 people or 12 families to share. We'll come to that. But ASU, I say that parents are protesting as more varsities hike fees. Now the issue is, now you don't even have the means to survive, to buy food to eat. Now talk less finding the money to pay for the hikes in the fees in universities. That means that it's only those who are going to have the chance of going to the universities. And what is going to happen there is that the poor are going to be impoverished. They are not going anywhere when it comes to education. So, Yomi, how is this protest going?
I was reading, a report this morning, in the UK, where some universities have decided now to support, their students. Manchester University is one of that university in UK, and the reason for that is that the cost of living is becoming very expensive as well in UK, and that literally means that the university have now come to support their students from them able to continue and further and concentrate on their education. You wonder why universities in Nigeria are not doing the same thing, where tuition fee have rising up so fast. I mean, I've been following the Lagos State University where students are protesting of hike in fee. The question then is, how do we solve all these problems? We want students, to be in education, but it seems that the former president cared less. About almost 8 months. There was total, disruption in the education sector in Nigeria, and I'm sure some students must probably, be delivering their newborn baby by the time they're resuming back as well. Because if you're idle and you're at home, you could also be, be used, which we know because of the poverty in the country. The report coming out again this morning says that ASU and the parent protest as more varsity universities hike their fees. The lecturers have slammed as the tertiary institution across the country began a new session this week. The academic staff union of the universities, the parent, the student have started protest as more universities continue to increase their fees amid the worsening economy. ASU, as well as the Association of Parents and Students, warn about the likelihood of mass dropout of students following the fee. That literally means that if we have more students that are dropping out, it will be another problem as well. We hope that the new minister will buckle up and see how they can, come in between the universities and as well the students, so that we can get more students coming out. Literally yesterday, I was looking at the total number. According to the KPMG, we have students that are coming out. Not literally that going to the university guarantee you a job in the first place, but at least having that first education up to the university will probably in the future help you. If you're not able to be helped in Nigeria, you might end up traveling out of Nigeria. But as we said, during my discussion yesterday, 40 million, based on the statistics of 5 million new job entrants. That means we have about 40 million Nigerians since the former president Buhari left for 8 years that were never getting a new jobs as they were coming out of the university. But it seems now that we might not even have more Nigerian students coming out of the university because of the fee. But again, the Minister of Education, Professor Tai Mama, has called for the total overhauling of the Nigerian higher education system to put the university and the tertiary institution at par with the others around the globe.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, the president has been, we will look at a few things that is happening from across the neighborhood, that is ECOWAS region, the coup d'etat that have taken place. We're looking at what happened in the Central Africa, Gabon, and some few unrest there as well. We're talking about Madagascar this morning, where there's going to be an election in November, and the president has decided the prime minister should be the head of the country, the interim head. And so, I mean, lots of things that is happening. But Tinubu is saying that the armed forces are ready to support Tinubu's aspiration. That's what the chief of defense staff is saying. Virtually, I bet they are being given lots of money and being catered for, like, properly, for them not to make any noise or say anything. But, well, if you are being taken care of, what about the extended family as well? But they're saying that's assurance that the chief of defense staff is saying. Yomi, more from there.
As we, going to be picking on that, let's first talk about 6,000 slain soldiers and family members to get insurance claim. It seems that no fewer than 6,732 relatives of the personnel of the Nigerian Army would benefit from the group life insurance claim that has now been ordered by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The beneficiaries that are relatives of those killed while in service between 2011 and 2022. You can see how the whole system is completely chaos. I mean, those that died in service since 2011, and we've had at least two presidents from Jonathan to Buhari, and you'll be wondering why, this payment were never paid. Is Tinubu doing the right thing? Time will tell. The director of the Army of the Public Relations, Brigadier General Oyema, disclosed this during an interview yesterday. He actually said that about 6,700 will benefit from the group life insurance, and the money is a backlog, and the president had cleared the backlog. So it seems that whether the money was paid out, during the time of Buhari and Jonathan, and there were, military chiefs that were just, using the money for something else. But it now seems that the new armed forces are ready to support President Bola Tinubu aspiration. This is coming from the Chief of Defense Staff. The defense chief also reiterated the resolve of the military to defend democracy and rid the nation of all forms of security challenges. The security challenges is very important. Like I said, 10 individuals are still in the captive of the terrorists since August 17. From what we are told, the family of these have managed to gather 13 million that have been paid, but they have not yet been released. So we hope that, the security, will be going after these rather than running after individual Nigerians. We're not saying that those that are, committing crimes, but Nigerians that are going daily on their activities, harassed and also in the country. But it seems that Mr. Musa is giving the assurance while they were presenting a paper title, Nigeria Security and the Defense Policy. My leadership concept for the Armed Force of Nigeria, and all this was happening in Jaji in Kaduna.
Okay, listeners, these are some of the stories making the rounds there this morning. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Before I allow Yomi to bring you the rest of that story, there was one that flared up, and I wanted to see, yes, pertaining to the reply from the House of Representatives that they were given 100,000 palliative each. The House of Representatives has debunked claims by the Nigerian Labour Congress that lawmakers have received the sum of 100 million naira from the federal government as palliatives to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. The NLC had, in a statement on Wednesday by its National Assistant Secretary Christopher Onyeka, alleged that members of the National Assembly were given the amount by the government. The Labour Union's allegation was part of its notice of an indefinite strike, said the federal government was wrong to share a bag of rice to dozens of citizens while giving 100 million naira palliative to each member of National Assembly. So what have they been given, or have they not been given anything at all? Yomi, any information pertaining to that?
Well, it seems that the Senate president will not make the same mistake as saying that money has been sent to the account, and he was told that they were still live. The transmission was still rolling, and he actually said
prayers.
Prayer.
Yeah, yo.
So 100 million has not been sent. I believe prayer has been sent to them. We are aware that representatives do get some kind of allocation to be used for development in their constituency, but it seems that the Labour, we did talk about this on Niger Voices yesterday, have made accusation or allegation, but it seems that the Nigerian National Assembly have come out to say the Nigerian Labour Congress is probably, been given a different information. They've just been given prayers, but not 100 million.
Okay. Let's see. They said it was prayers that have been given to them, or not 100 million. So how are they doing? Well, listen, as a Starr Radio UK, the Thursday edition of the morning show. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and we leave the rest to him for him to bring you all the rest of the stories making the rounds and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, as we still continue to review, the outcome of some of the engagement that this government have done so far. We know that their outing started from the BRICS, going to the ECOWAS. There's still issue, but that issue from the ECOWAS has not been resolved. So we do not know what the outcome is. At least no airline will be traveling to Niger temporarily from Nigeria because the border is closed between us and the military junta there. But it seems that the Minister of Aviation would like to continue from the federal government as directed that the Central Bank of Nigeria must now convene what we call a quarterly meetings with all the foreign airlines that are operating in Nigeria to address the biggest issue, their trap fund. Remember that they do not have anything more than Nigerians that wants to travel. We don't have our own airline. You buy the ticket, and at some point, they want to move those money out, and that is where the money gets stuck. And these are part of the arrangement that I believe has been resolved between Etihad and Emirates. These are not just the only two airlines that fly into the country, but the Minister of Aviation and the Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has said these are the 7th ongoing aviation summit. The good thing about Nigeria is they love this summit, they love these conferences, they love these meetings. It is all good in presentation, in PowerPoint, but when it comes to implementation, it seems everything doesn't move as we want it to move. But the minister says that the proactive approach was necessary to find a lasting solution to this ongoing issue, and that the federal government was addressing the challenges associated with the foreign exchange supply, which resulted in the huge amount that we owe the foreign carriers. So we will continue to monitor that. I heard you talking about the former president still making his way to farm at least 4 days a week. This is coming from Garba Shehu. But the problem is, he's going to the farm, but his cow are not bringing extra babies to this world. So it seems that Buhari goes to cow, just like the economy of Nigeria will stand still. The Yoruba people will say is like a water that stands still, is not moving, and anything could be in that water. But Garba Shehu says that Buhari his principal has been spending his time away from office, attending to his farm in Daura in Katsina State. Shehu made this known in a statement today titled "The 100 Days After Buhari." Shehu said Buhari chose to stay in Daura to be far away from Abuja, where Tinubu is now the sheriff in town, in order not to distract the new APC administration, and in the hope that the distance will make it possible for him to have a good rest. That is coming from Garba Shehu. We take one or two more, as it's now 11:39. Well, again, we go back to electricity. Is this right, or is this just another waste of money? But many Nigerians are used to their government, from the state level to the federal to even the local government, wasting money, or probably not thinking of bringing a kind of innovation. But this kind of innovation takes us to Anambra State, where the governor, a former CBN governor that was able to become the new governor, is now using 900 million to fuel the generators to power the street light. Whether this is sensible, some might say, well, at least electricity is still on the highway and that reduced the crime rate as well. But is this something that can be run? I remember Lagos State was doing almost the same thing. They were fueling the generators, and allowing, the smokes to go different places. But the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has now called on Governor Charles Soludo to pay members 900 million debts owed about 70 contractors for the diesel that they supplied to Anambra State government in 2022. This appeal was in a letter to Soludo that was signed by Chinedu and Emeka, the chairman and the secretary of IPMAN. This was yesterday. The letter title was Request for the Debt Payment of 900 million owed to our members for diesel supply and services rendered in respect of the street light. You just want to ask yourself, for how long do we need to continue in this analog manner? Again, Anambra has the money, and now that we have a new sheriff in town, maybe they should start thinking of having their own electricity rather than using the diesel as well. Let's come back again before we go to the social media, because Atiku is still not yet satisfied between the U.S. court that has now reserved the judgment in Atiku record case after the Chicago University confirmed that the female Bola Tinubu transcript, the female conclusion was raised by Bola Tinubu's lawyer, Christopher Kamekar, who tried to use it to demonstrate the favorability of the case before the court. According to what we heard, a befuddled judge, Jeffrey Gilbert of the United States District for the Northern District of Illinois on Tuesday has now reserved the judgment on the application for Bola Tinubu's record after learning that the Nigerian President College transcript, which he used to gain admission to Chicago University in 1977, indicated that it belonged to a female person. The judge said he was prepared to rule on the matter when he scheduled a hearing for September 12, which was 2 days ago, but he needed additional time to digest his decision after learning that there was a transcript bearing Bola Tinubu's released by the Chicago State University under a separate court that carried the own agenda. So you can see that the issue in Chicago is still being dragged by the PDP presidential aspirant to be able maybe to find a conclusion whether in 1977 it is the same female that we are talking about right now in 2023, or maybe during that time it was just a female, but today it has become a male. You can tell that that case is not going anywhere yet until it is finally resolved by Atiku and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We're going to come back straight to the social media where other activities and engagement continue online. It's the X we call it now. So let's look at it as yesterday. Again, the government in exile of the Biafra have now directed that we shouldn't allow, any on their own territory, the federal government, vehicles to travel, in the plate number belonging to the state and the federal. Again, we hope that between those agitating, the government will continue to look into the issue of not just in Nnamdi Kanu, but also of the self-determination of the Yorubas that are campaigning as well. As we said, this month, the Yorubas will be going out again for the Yoruba Nation Diaspora Mega Rally. And in alliance with the world media, the Yoruba Nation, the self-determination, is inviting as many to attend the 78th, the United Nations General Assembly that is coming up later on the 19th, where even many will be, bringing up their banners, and their permit has been granted as well. Let's come out of that and see the death of our brother Mohbad. I picked that up as well. On the Metro newspaper this morning. You can tell that this is a very very sad news coming from Nigeria with the young man, the Metro newspaper that I picked up, which shows that Nigeria is a very important, country to many people. And as an artist that has good followership, not just in Nigeria, in UK, the Metro paper put it as Afrobeat singer Mohbad death has lead fans distracted. A lot of questions have been raised, to what could have led to the death. Could it be the former label that he was working with, or was it some other thing? But Afrobeat star Mohbad has died aged 27. We did talk about him during the Niger Voices yesterday. But like I always say to those at home, as many of what is happening in Nigeria, the international news are picking on them. But at the right time, they will also be talking about some other issues like those that are campaigning for the Yoruba nation. They are aware of it. They are aware of the Biafra. They've seen them so many times, on their peaceful rally in front of the number 10 Downing Street, just like any other protest that takes place across the world. But the problem is, some are not really ready to interfere in such decision right now. So again, on the X this morning, the CBN governor is trending as much as Soludo is trending, and I'm sure the reason why Naira Marley is trending, because the young man that died was signed by Naira Marley, from what we were told, before things did not work between them last year. So Naira Marley is trending this morning, and I'm sure underneath that post will be all kind of different, which we cannot confirm, but we can only go by that he died, and we can only pray for the family and the parents and friends that he left behind. For now, when we look at what actually is being said with the word Nigeria this morning on the X space, and you will tell that the Biafra is popping up, just as 99% oppressor is also saying, on this app, I accuse the United Nations Aid Agency of arming and sponsoring terrorist activities in the northern part. You can see that Nigerians use that space, to get out their message, but sometimes not all the message there can be confirmed. Also, as much as Nigerians are a place where there's a lot of fun, we see if I can bring this up in just about a minute. He's a young man that have now set a new record, most step climb on a ladder while balancing a football on the head by Tonye Solomon. The engineer will bring the screen up in just about a few minutes, but for now, I'll come back again to you in the studio. It shows that in the midst of the pain, the crisis, Nigerians still find a way to survive. Well, that shows the resilience of the black person, I would say that. So in the midst of challenges, somewhere, somehow, you see people still smiling. Maybe the whole day they've not even had anything to eat. But yeah, so in the background of Mr. Olayomi Koiki is this young man who is carrying the football on his head and mounting the ladder. Is it the pylons that he's climbing? Well, these are like, I don't know whether they have to disconnect this for him, but these are like the power transmission, or it could be something else. But you can see that the ball is quite balanced on his head all the way through, and he has now set up a new world record. Wow. What award is he getting? New Guinness record, but what award is he getting for that? Well, he will probably get for Nigerian Love, which is the endorsement, and that could literally give him a new house, a brand new vehicle, and a good life as against just as many Nigerians that will have loved the same thing. So a certificate definitely from the Guinness World Record, but the most important thing is it comes with some kind of endorsement and recognition, which is why we're talking about it as well this morning. Who knows? Maybe the football has got a magnet in it that is attracting his hair. Maybe Ronaldo will be talking to him very soon, or Messi. I don't know, So that they can carry the ball on their head and run from one end to the other. Well, listeners, it's Starr in the UK. We bring you everything that you need to know, as I do say, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar. It's making the headlines. Why not? We'll make sure that we bring that your way. But that is what Yomi has brought you. But Yomi, I was asking the question about the former president in Daura, where they say he goes to his farm. You were saying that where his cattle, you don't hear that the cattle have had babies there. But the question is, now he has security when he goes to the farms.
right? Now, there are others who have not been able to go to their farms because of insecurity. They go and we have all these kidnappings and all these insurgency coming in to actually stop them. Now, what are they doing about that so far, Yomi?
Well, you're quite right. The former president would have, just like any other former president around the world, they will still have the extra security, for their protections and their family. But you're quite right. Many Nigerians are struggling to get to their farm because of the insecurity in the country. And that is where I believe the new administration has a lot of work to do when it comes to, the security of the country. The country needs to be secure before we can talk about, allowing businesses to strive. I mean, I would love to set up a farm, somewhere in my community, in Ijebu-Ode, in Ogun State. But can I set this farm while I'm here and then have staff in there to be kidnapped, and then I have to go and find another 13 million that I don't have? I have to either, then come on the social media and cry for help. So some of us have decided now it is not worth it to have such. I'd rather, invest the little I have back here in UK while we see the situation back home. And those that even tried it, remember that we lost a brother, Mr. Benga Olabi. He had a farm, he had an hotel. These were in operation just like Buhari had the farm. But the only difference is he traveled all the way from America, from Maryland precisely, arrived in Nigeria. The same day he got to his business premises in Ogbomoso, guess what? He was kidnapped as well with another staff member. They asked for ransom. The family raised the money in millions of naira, gave the ransom. Both the young man that delivered the money was killed. Mr. Oluwagbenga was killed. The young girl was killed. She was there just because the university was closed. That was the reason why she got a job there. And the family said, rather than even bury the body there, pay whatever it cost them. The American government got involved. The body was removed from Nigeria, returned to America. That shows that the family are not likely to visit Nigeria anytime soon. This is not just the only one. Remember that Oloye Sunday Igboho came out because of an attack in another community in Okeogun, where another PhD holder, this has already been running a big farm, even giving out, the wasted materials on the farm to this cow that was being brought into the area so that they do not disturb his own business. It was not just producing, it was also preparing them for a proper packaging. It was again caught, dismembered. I went to Nigeria in 2021. I visited the same place just as Chief visited on January after giving 7 days ultimatum for those that were involved in this atrocity. But again, what happened? Chief Sunday Igboho's house was attacked by the order of President Muhammadu Buhari. 2 people lost their life. The bodies have not been returned back. And the question is, will the family of that same man that was killed, where the body was disemboweled as well, will they come to Nigeria? I don't think so. Let me take you back again to 2018. Before the many Nigerians started talking about the terrorist attack, a woman came to Nigeria with a family. They were kidnapped. Before they know, their clothes and the daughter's clothes have been torn all the way down. They became naked all the way through the forest. She decided to stay and accepted to be raped so that the husband is not raped and the daughter is not raped. They were there in the captivity for 6 days. She knew that those involved were Fulani because she schooled in the north. She could hear the sound very well. She was then asked that these people have, everything. They had more people being trained. How can they say they don't know where they are? This is from our own world. 8 million was paid. She said that it seems that the Yoruba are just, walking in a lane, even though some of them tend not to be accepting the fate of what is happening. This was in 2018. She went back to America. The daughter said, even when they die, they must never take their body back to Nigeria. The parent accepted that. So you can tell that this new administration of President Bola Tinubu needs to resolve the security to give assurance to those that believe in Nigeria to come back and invest. But those of us that do not believe anymore, we will either keep the money outside Nigeria, but we are still making our little effort because we still have to send money home. from the diaspora remittance, which is to about $40 billion.
Well, listen, it's quite interesting and challenging there. Okoromodeke Paul says Biafra is the answer. Support Biafran actualization for the freedom of all ethnic nationalities. Biafra is taking...
Olayomi Abdullahi said, Nigeria not happen to us. They are currently in Abu Dhabi, and they're waiting for the new outcome of the engagement between the president and the Abu Dhabi to be able to allow them to work. Some of them have been there for the past 2 years, and they are now stuck because there's no opportunity to go out and work, and coming back to Nigeria is not even easy because in Dubai, you might be ending up paying a big fine for being an illegal